Hello, my dear students. Today we will have some issues about the culture, our culture curriculum, and we will talk about some points regarding the culture curriculum. Let's go and see what we have today to talk about. It's some issues, though they are looks like they are separated, but all of them works all together like in the culture topic. So here we go. So, what we will talk about is the power relation. The power relation is a complete understanding of power relationship, requires a study of each person's power with the context of the others. Person's power, how you view your own power and your partner's power may affect your partner's perceptions of power. Resisting influence is a type of power. Resisting is a type of power. So, the power of you or the power of the relationships, how you look for it, how you see it. So this is another point. A stereotype. The stereotype is very famous word now. People use it. Is a mistaken idea or belief many people have about I think or a group that is based upon how they look on the outsides. They don't see the core of the person. They just look for the appearance, which may be untrue or only partly. Stereotyping people is a type of prejudice, like you see a prejudice, because what is on the outside is a small part of the whole person. So this is the stereotyping. By stereotyping, we infer that a person has a whole range of characteristics and abilities that we assume all members of the group have. So if someone is having something, we will consider all the group is having this thing. Stereotype leads to social categorization, and this is a very awful thing. It's not nice, which is one of the reasons for prejudice attitudes. So that's why. So the stereotyping leads to the prejudice. Prejudice and stereotyping are bases that work together to create and maintain social inequality. Look at this word, inequality, and I want to highlight it. Inequality. So both of them, the stereotype and the prejudice, they lead to the inequality. The prejudice is an effective feeling. This is another definition towards a person based on that person received group's membership. So I look to him because he's from this membership, from this community. Then if they are bad, he will be bad. If he's good, then we will consider him good as well. Jordan's Alport defines prejudice as a feeling favorable or unfavorable towards a person or things superior to or not to based on actual experience. Is not based on actual experiencing this person, but just you generalize whatever in the society, you will put it in this person. And it's based on judgment of a person, but it's not true. It is not true. A gender rule, also known as sex rule, is a social rule encompassing a range of behaviors and attitudes. Gender rule that are generally considered acceptable, appropriate, or desirable for people based on their actual or perceived sex. Again, about the prejudice is a superficially positive prejudice. We have positive prejudice that is expressed in the terms of positive beliefs and emotional responses, which are associated with historical prejudices or result in keeping affected groups in inferior positions in a society. Okay. Some describe the prejudice and discrimination based on race. Okay. How about the racism? Racism, like here in the racism, can also be said to describe condition in a society in which a dominant racial group benefits from the oppression of others, whether the group wants such benefits or not. So this is regarding the racism as well. How about the sexism? Sexism is also prejudice or discrimination based on the person's sex or gender. This is another kind of prejudice. The sexism itself is another kind of prejudice. So sexism can affect anyone. Sexism can affect anyone, but it systematically and primarily affects women. Look at this. It affects women and girls. Okay, it has been linked to stereotype as well. It's also linked to stereotype and gender rules and the gender rules. Okay, some societies like favor men more than they favor women, and this is a kind of discrimination as well. And many include the beliefs that one sex gender is instinctively superior to another. Like some societies, they see and they think like this way, that men is favored than women and they have the superior than women. We'll come to another point today issue. Also, we are talking about the culture, especially when the cultures come mixed in one place like Canada. So you expect to see things like this, and handling it is of great importance just for getting a healthy society. So discrimination in the workplace also is another. Race, color, national extraction or social origin, sex, gender identity or sexual orientation, age, physical, intellectual, mental, all this, marital status, relationships, status of family, religious. Okay, what is the workplace discrimination? What do we know about the workplace discrimination? And what constitutes discrimination against employees or job applicants? Okay, employment discrimination happens when an employer or a job applicant is treated unfavorably because of his or her race, skin, color, national origin, gender, disability, religion, or age. So those are the cases when the discrimination happen in all of this: race, skin, color, national origin, gender, disability, religion, or age. However, we have four types of discrimination, like I'm saying here, that are important in schools: direct discrimination and indirect discrimination. Those are the main two bases: direct discrimination and indirect discrimination, harassment and victimization, also. That's another point. So direct discrimination in schools is when a child is treated less favorably. When you don't treat all the childs as the same as they are like each other, you treat someone favor or you favor someone more than other one on the grounds of gender, disability, race, sexual orientation, religious beliefs, or age. So it happens in the schools, even in the schools. Yes, it happened. The discrimination happened in the schools. The precise elements you must prove will depend on whether you are suing for discrimination under your state or federal law. So, in an employment discrimination claim, that's what's happening in the courts and what's happening in real life. A prima facie case of disparate treatment will generally require you to prove what? You are in protected class, sex, race, or whatever. Illegal discrimination is defined generally as being treated differently than someone else. So it's all the ideas is about you favor someone instead against other one. So this is the meaning of the discrimination. It takes many figures, like we said. There are direct discrimination and there is indirect discrimination because of a protected characteristic. uh, all the acts and all the laws actually in Canada and elsewhere, they prohibit discrimination because it's it's non favorable issue based on, especially when there's diversity of nations and people from all over the world, all are coming and gathered in one place based on race, color, religious, sex, or national origin. Sex includes pregnancy, childbirth, related medical conditions. It illegal for employees to discriminate in relation to hiring, discharging, compensating. So that's where they can discriminate. Those are the cases where they can discriminate, or providing the terms, conditions, and privileges of employment. We'll go now to a new topic. So we are now into a new topic, that's the indigenous culture. And the term indigenous means what? Refers to any ethnic group that reside in its origin location, practices and traditions cultures, like the Indians in the United States and the Indians of Canada, and speaks a minority language. Now those people are living in the far north, most of them. Some indigenous groups may have lost their traditional language. They don't talk their own language anymore, but are otherwise considered indigenous ethnics and groups. Okay, we'll go to another word or terminology in the culture. Nowadays, we are using it, that's called cultural imperialism. What is the cultural imperialism? The term cultural imperialism refers most broadly to the exercise of domination in cultural relationships, in which the values and practices and meanings of powerful foreign culture are imposed upon one of the more native cultures. Can you give me example like this? Can you give me examples? So the countries that was having colonies, and they put their own part of their culture in these colonies, and it prevailed there and dominate there. This is what we are talking about, the cultural imperialism. The foreign culture will come and be imposed on the native culture. It will domain and will control and will overwhelm and overcome the native culture, and the native culture will be dissolved, and this one, the new culture, will be there. Okay, what about the cultural resistance? I'm very happy because in this lecture we have a lot of new idioms, and we have a lot of new terminologies about the culture itself. Culture resistance is the broad use of art, literature, and traditional practices to challenge or fight unjust or oppressive systems. So, like in the revolutions, when you draw a paint, this is considered as a cultural resistance, and or power holders with the context of non-environment action, campaigns, and movements. See, all this culture resistance. Tactics are particularly powerful because they serve multiple purposes. Okay, I'm rebelling. I'm rebel against. I'm revoluting. I don't like the way things are, so I'm doing this cultural resistance. I don't like the way in some social matters. I don't like the way of inherent culture. Some points in my inherent culture, I don't like it. So I express that I don't like it. The way I express it, we call it cultural resistance. Okay, tactics are particularly powerful, like that way, powerful because they serve multiple purposes. Cultural resistance is the practice of using meanings and symbols, that is culture, to contest and combat a dominant power. So you are revolting. You are revolting against something you don't want. Okay, but you are expressing in figure of, like as example, writing novel and a figure of paint, and whatever the figure you are trying to show your protest. And you can go for examples from the nets about this. Hyphenated identity. What is the hyphenated identity? It's a term that implies dual identity, dual and identity. It evokes question regarding which side of the hyphen the person belongs to. Okay, giving the impression that the person is oscillating between two cultures. As example, I am Canadian Egyptian. So this is hyphenated identity. Uh, it means that which culture you have. You have the Canadian culture, or you have the Egyptian culture, or you have the Puerto Rican culture, or you have the Regis culture, or you have the British culture, beside the Canadian culture. Which one you have? So which one is more than the other? Which one affect you more? That's what we call hyphenated identity. Hyphenated identity. The majority and the minority cultures as well. This you find it also in some of the societies. And we said, as example, the religious is a part of the culture. So you will find majority and minorities in religious in some countries. You'll find 90% Muslims, 10% Christians. Those are majority Muslims, minority Christians. And we said before that the religion is a part of the culture. So there is also a majority culture and a minority culture. So is a term used to the United States to refer to jurisdiction in which one or more racial and more ethnic minorities relatives to the whole country's populations makes a majority of the local population. Anyhow, now we'll come to something is called ethnic media. Is media fashioned with a particular ethnic minority group or ethnic minority community in mind? The last thing I will talk about today, and actually it's a big topic, a great topic to talk about, is the globalization. And the globalization means the whole world become like a small village. The whole world become like a small village. Now the whole world becomes like a small village. The integration of societies, all the sites now by globalization, you can know what's happening in Afghanistan or in Iraq through the medias, through the internet, through your TV, through the satellites. You can know them before you smell the smell of the food which comes to you from your neighbor's house. The world become like a small village. It became like a small village now. So it became like a small village, the whole world. So the integration of societies and people through trade, okay, it's now all the world is open to each other. All the cultures are opened on each other, not like before. Okay, look at Canada as example now. If you go to a superstore or something, you'll find diversity of products from all over the world, and you will see diversity of peoples from all over the world. Exactly, the globalization means the the world village. The world become like a small village. In the small village, everyone know the other. See, the integration of societies and people through trade, technology, and enhanced labor market. Technology is getting the people closer to each other. And also, when we do the globalization and the international business and moving out the trade barriers and the trade entries between the countries and making the flow of goods and services easier, this is sort of globalization on the world. Globalization has also opened our eyes to various cultures. Exactly. Now we know about the cultures of the others, which has increased people's understanding of one's another. So today we talk about the globalization, we talk about the hyphenated identity, we talk about the majority and the minority. Those are all terminologies in the culture. We talk about the cultural resistance and how to express it. We talk about the cultural imperialism. We talk about the indigenous culture. We knew now what the meaning of discrimination in the workplace, and all are related to culture issues. We know what's the meaning of prejudice. Prejudice, we know the meaning of it. We know the meaning of the stereotype. We know the meaning of the power relation. Thank you for listening and see you on the next lecture. Thank you. Bye bye.